if there's corruption anywhere, you have a right to attack. All of this is normal. We're not just gonna keep on going and jump into a succession plan. We're gonna figure out what the hell happened on September 10th first. And I'm gonna tell you guys, Charlie had been investigating. They're telling some pretty obvious.
Charlie wasn't the type to lose control. That's why when the people closest to him realized something had shifted, alarm bells rang immediately. He wasn't lashing out. He wasn't overreacting. He had become untouchable, a quiet, chilling distance that even strangers could feel. Something dark was gnawing at him, a secret too dangerous to share. Friends whispered about how he suddenly scrutinized every new acquaintance. Colleagues noticed the clipped conversations, the measured pauses, the way he chose each word like it could betray him.
Involved in TPUSA faith and this random strand of sex and trafficking and weapons scandal that keeps happening. Okay. We're not going to not look into Turning Point Faith because, oh, you're not allowed. It's untouchable all of a sudden because Erica's at the helm of it. No, if there's corruption anywhere, you have a right to attack it, especially if it comes in the name of the Lord. I will say that. Switching gears here.
The atmosphere in the office shifted. One former employee would later say it was as if Charlie suddenly saw the world through a different lens. The trust he once had in those around him vanished overnight. It wasn't gradual. It hit like a switch being flipped. Charlie pulled away from his inner circle, skipping the meetings he once led, staying late in his locked office, eyes glued to his phone, haunted by something he couldn't confront. Whatever had shaken him was intimate, heavy, a secret too dangerous to share, even with Erica. Then, finally, Charlie confides in Candace. In a few hushed sentences, she realizes this isn't stress. It isn't ordinary worry. This is a revelation he believes could upend everything if exposed. But why take the risk? Why would a man so devoted to his family feel he can't trust the one closest to him? Their conversation is almost ghostly, no tears, no theatrics. Charlie's voice barely above a whisper, as if the walls themselves might betray him. He admits he needs answers to something no parent ever wants to confront. Behind closed doors, he's secretly commissioned a separate DNA test for his children, discreet, silent, unseen. Not from anger, not from suspicion, but from a gnawing, unsettling feeling that has stolen his sleep and left a small, unshakable void. A detail in his own family no longer fits. He's arranged it all through a doctor he trusts completely, ensuring the results won't reach anyone he fears might misuse them. That day, Candace realized Charlie wasn't seeking drama. He was chasing one last confirmation, a missing piece he needed to finally make sense of the puzzle.
India, right off the bat, for Erica, who's grieving her husband, to then instantly become a chairman and the CEO, because these are valid questions now that people are asking. And a chairman and a CEO is going to have to respond to those questions. You have to answer these questions when people are asking about money, especially given the fact that so many people, I mean, they cleared over $70 million in the first couple of weeks after Charlie was assassinated. Okay. That's a lot of well-meaning people that are giving money to this organization who are now learning how this organization functions by routing the bulk of their money, or to a lot of their money rather, not the bulk of it, into their endowment fund, right? That is not okay. We deserve answers to the questions that we are asking. And
when the test results finally came back, no one could have predicted Charlie's reaction. There was no fury, no panic, only a bone-deep, chilling silence, the kind of silence belonging to someone whose entire world had just shattered. To Candace, he spoke a single, quiet sentence. "It didn't turn out the way I planned." He said nothing to Erica. He confronted no one. The secret became his anchor, the only thing keeping him steady as he weighed his next move. But before he could act, another player stepped into the story, and from that moment, everything began to spiral in ways no one could have foreseen. When Charlie left, Candace felt an invisible grip tighten around her chest, a suffocating premonition of what was coming. Erica didn't behave like someone seeking answers. She acted like someone determined to stop questions before they even surfaced. To Candace, the silence was unbearable, unacceptable given all the trust Charlie had placed in her. Instead of probing, Erica moved with alarming speed, shutting down inquiry before anyone could even speak. The tension didn't ease, it escalated. And then came the ultimate shock. Erica bypassed conversation entirely and sent a letter straight to the judge, demanding legal restrictions that would prevent Candace from revealing a single detail. No warning, no private discussion, just a cold, controlling legal maneuver, a move that turned an already tense situation into something dangerously volatile.
This in their own way, and I appreciate that. Just some grace would be nice.
So I think it's a gracious answer, and I think it's a gracious request to, assert first and foremost that people are doing this because they care and they care about Charlie. And also this was a traumatic event that the entire world experienced. And also the reason why the internet is investigating is because the feds aren't. And, not only are they not investigating, they're telling some pretty obvious lies, right? Number one being that he was shot by a 30-06 and stopped the bullet, when in a normal circumstance, it would have decapitated him. Like a 30-06 would decapitate someone. And because they've been so ridiculous and then gaslighting us by being like, you're dishonoring Charlie's legacy, people are digging their feet in the ground because it's just disrupts us spiritually to watch something like that and then be told like nothing to see here. Now, here's what I will say about her request to consider the people that were there that day. The people that were there that day experienced a trauma because they watched Charlie Kirk die, or maybe they didn't see him die, maybe watched him get shot, heard the shot, who knows what the exact specs are. This is where it's going to be really hard for Erica to be a CEO and to be somebody who is a widow at the same time, right? Because the messaging that is coming out of Turning Point USA, so this is Erica in her CEO and her chairman capacity, has just been unacceptable, right? It can't be both. It can't be, okay, everybody, we're gonna keep going, and, Mikey's gonna take over for Charlie at his Liberty event that he has, which is gonna be sold out. And, Turning Point USA people who are directors of faith are gonna be telling you, like, Mikey's got what it takes, here's what blah, blah, blah. And then Mikey's gonna tell stories about that day, go on his show multiple times, Andrew's gonna talk about it, everyone's gonna talk about it, and they don't wanna talk about the stuff that we care about. This is what it means to have a podcast, right? You can't want fame only on your command. This is kind of the Meghan Markle thing, right? That we talk about. And I'm quoting this to Mikey McCoy. It's like everybody wants to be famous until you're famous. Okay. We want privacy now. Well, it doesn't actually work that way. You don't get to be like, I want to marry you and I want to be a princess and then become a princess. You're like, well, I don't want to be a princess, right? It's kind of, you got to pick one or the other. So if there were Turning Point individuals who were so traumatized that day and they needed to go away, I mean, I had to go away for 2 weeks to collect my thoughts about the trauma that I saw having watched it. And a lot of people I know that had to take breaks. I had to take the show off the air for a couple of days, and they just, needed time to process. It'd be a little bit different. Actually, it almost came across like they needed zero time to process, and they were kind of annoyed that the world needed time to process. And then the things that they were telling us were lies. We were able to factually debunk things that we were being told. And then you've got people like Tyler, who's featured in this, Tyler Boyer, who you're the chairman and the CEO. Tyler Boyer is a sexual deviant, right? Why do we have to give, because he was at the hospital, give him grace? It's like, no, this is the company. This is now what's at the head of the company. Charlie's not there. We want to make sure that this company is going to be committed to truth. We want to make sure this company is not going to be telling us that we can't care about this or not be focused on that, because we need to decide whether this is still the same company. That's what it means, right? Is this still the same company? And so I think with the McCoy thing, everyone wanted a stage until you got a stage, okay? And people started going lie, right? Case in point, Alex Clark wanted to do the Wall Street Journal thing until caught this little lie. And it's like, what are you saying this thing about Catholics? That's not true. Okay. Take the stage or don't take the stage, but it can't be in between. And then suddenly when the public turns against you, I don't want a stage anymore. That would be my response to that. And I do not have any sympathy for Rob McCoy. I have no sympathy for Mikey McCoy. I have no sympathy for Tyler Boyer. I think telling the truth is a very easy thing to do.
While most people hesitated, waiting for the perfect moment to speak, Candace did the opposite. She went on air and dropped a single, loaded hint, one that suggested she knew something explosive, something capable of shaking the entire system. She didn't shout. She didn't point fingers. She didn't name names. One sentence was all it took. What I learned this past week could change everything. The effect was instant. Like a spark hitting a gas tank, the internet ignited. Every move Erica made was dissected, analyzed, replayed. Every interview, every carefully crafted statement, every fleeting glance suddenly seemed less like grief and more like meticulous image management. People began asking the unspoken questions. Why was Erica's first reaction to silence Candace? Who was she protecting and what? Then Erica stepped into the public eye in a way no one expected. Instead of retreating into the quiet shadow of grief, she emerged with commanding poise, deliberate and unshakable. At one event, she lavished praise on Mikey McCoy, Charlie's head of human resources, with such warmth and reverence that the room went silent. She repeated his name with an intensity that seemed to go far beyond professional respect. The audience remembered the man they'd seen calmly leaving the scene of the incident, phone pressed to his ear, as if he had anticipated what was coming. But the moment that went viral was her embrace of J.D. Vance during Charlie's memorial. Not for the hug itself, but for what she said immediately afterward. I am tremendously blessed tonight to introduce a very dear friend and his wife. Incredible people. I see no one will ever replace my husband, but I see echoes of him in JD, and that's why I'm honored to introduce him tonight. Please welcome Vice President JD Vance. The auditorium froze. The comparison was intimate, unnervingly close, far too soon. Was this grief or a calculated shift? A memorial or a stage for a new narrative? Online, the debate exploded. That hug, that line, became one of the story's most controversial moments. Erica's energy no longer reflected a widow in mourning. It hinted at someone moving into a new chapter, too smooth, too controlled, almost premeditated. Suspicion deepened when Erica sat down with Jesse Waters for an interview everyone expected to be raw, revealing, unguarded. Instead, she spoke with an unnerving calm, polished, rehearsed. Cameras should be allowed in the courtroom, she said, because transparency was the only way to reveal the truth. Powerful words. Cinematic. Shocking. Not for what she said, but for how she said it. Like the story was already complete, every gap filled. The community knew better. Candace watched, senses alert. Something didn't add up. Why was Erica so confident defending a story riddled with holes? Why treat questions as threats? Charlie, before his departure, had been full of doubts. And yet, Erica claimed she'd reviewed the entire case file. It was a complete picture, she insisted. The comment section erupted. If she had seen everything, why weren't the forensic reports released? Why had evidence vanished? And why did months of public scrutiny still leave an incomplete puzzle? Candace refused to stay silent. She looked straight into the camera and asked the question millions had quietly pondered. If Erica knows something doesn't add up, why defend a story that's missing pieces? That simple inquiry cracked the dam. Former staff, volunteers, collaborators, even fleeting acquaintances of Charlie began sharing fragments of a larger story, small, discreet, but crucial. Over time, the fragments formed a pattern impossible to ignore. The office had shifted from vibrant to tense overnight. Charlie had admitted feeling watched. Trust had dissolved.